So our speaker today needs no introduction. He is not only a member of this club, but an icon in our community and one of our biggest advocates here in Manatee County. Please welcome Mayor Jean Brown.
Thank you, sir. My wife had a tie out for me also, but I'm not going to tell her until she sees it on TV and says, "Where's your tie?" But no, it's one of the things I hear about a native. Obviously, my family's seventh generation with the grandkids now in Manatee County. So the native thing means a lot to all of us in here. And I'm glad I got my number one fan right in the front there by herself now, Linda Agresta. But no, I'd like to thank everybody, obviously, for having me and welcoming today. And, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be standing up here. And you look 50 years ago when I was 8 years old and walked into that Boys Club at the time on 34th Street. And it was because of this club that Boys Club was standing there. So, you know, you look back and you look at the things, and I can see Dawn, I see Omar, a lot of others that were in the Boys Club at that time. And what it's meant to me over my 50 years. You'd never say, what does it mean 50 years later? But it does. It matters what community, and it matters what we do. And, you know, we a lot of times will say how things are. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter what every single person in this room thinks politically. It matters what you do for others. And that's the most important thing. And that's how I try to guide and lead. And I'm fortunate to have probably the best council in a lot of communities, and when you look back, but with Vice Mayor Moore over there, she will never sit with us at these meetings, but we just laugh about that. But Councilwoman Coker, longtime on and off council person, Barnaby, but we love that. And then Councilman Schuessler. I said that one time, and I don't even know what I said, but it wasn't Schuessler, but we welcome him aboard. And unfortunately, Councilwoman Coachman, who's a great asset to our city and her ward that she leads, as a school teacher. So she's in school right now. So, but we like having it. And then having the administration that we have, Mr. Perry, who came in a little more than 4 years ago with great knowledge and running a big city in Albuquerque and coming here was a great asset to us. And Chief Operating Officer, financial guy, Lance Williams. You know, we're lucky. We're just lucky to have the people in the seats. And that's what's important to me. And that's one of the things that I learned at the Boys Club going up. It's always not about the building, the space, what you're doing. It's about the people you surround yourself with and what you do to make yourself better, which makes a community better. And again, then it's getting along. You know, you want debate. We want interesting things happening, but it's about working together, whether it's on Avenue of the Arts, whether it's in our downtown, whether it's Village of the Arts, whether it's LECOM, whether it's Old Manatee, you know, what happens and what we do. We do have about a 5.5 minute video that I want to show now. But again, I just want to thank you, and then I'll talk after that. But Mac, I think you're ready.
A city isn't just buildings and streets. It's a promise we keep to each other.
Carried by the work most people never see.
Pipes underfoot, stations on standby, people who show up before the storm and after.
It's in the hands that build, the crews that repair, and the collaboration that keeps this city moving forward.
That's Bradenton this year. Face what's hard. Fix what matters.
For anyone who has driven through Bradenton recently, it's clear that the city is on the move. From downtown to the surrounding neighborhoods, there's a sense of progress and transformation in the air.
And it's not just one or two projects. What we're seeing is a comprehensive, strategic investment across the board, designed to strengthen the city's foundation for decades to come.
Let's start with the most visible signs of that investment: public safety. There's major construction happening. What's the story there?
The city is making a generational investment in its first responders. The centerpiece is the new $35 million police headquarters. The department had outgrown its previous facility, which was also dangerously vulnerable to storm surge.
I remember hearing about that. They had to evacuate during the hurricanes, right?
Exactly. This new headquarters is larger, centrally located, and built to modern standards with a state-of-the-art crime center. And it's not just the police department. This is happening alongside upgrades to our fire department, including the new fire station number 2, which is built to withstand a Category 4 storm.
A Category 4 storm. So it's really about building for resilience, not just for today. Speaking of public safety, I understand the city also recently opened a new public safety operations center. How does that fit into the bigger picture of keeping residents safe?
That's a critical piece of the puzzle. The new PSOC is a state-of-the-art command hub. It opened in 2024 and earned the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council's 2025 Built Environment Award. Think of it as the nerve center during any major event or emergency. It's designed to dramatically improve emergency response and coordination between our police, fire, and other city departments, ensuring they can work together seamlessly when it matters most. It's another major step in building a more resilient and secure city.
That brings up the less visible, but equally critical infrastructure. For years, we've heard about challenges with the city's wastewater system. What's being done?
The city is tackling that head-on with the Face It, Fix It initiative. It's a massive, more than $100 million program to overhaul our aging wastewater treatment and collection system.
So what are some of the key upgrades that will stop that from happening?
Like a new massive fourth clarifier, will increase treatment capacity by 2 million gallons a day. And a new deep injection well will provide a safe way to dispose of excess treated water, putting Bradenton far ahead of state environmental mandates.
That sounds incredibly expensive. How is the city managing the financial side of these essential upgrades?
That's a key part of the story. The administration has been very successful in securing state funding to ease the burden on local taxpayers.
You mentioned the city is managing the financial side well. Can you give us some specific examples of the funding they've secured?
That's an excellent point, and it's where the city's strategy really shines. They've been incredibly proactive in pursuing outside funding. For instance, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection awarded a resiliency grant that covers nearly $3 million. That's half the cost for the Lift Station 13 replacement project. They've also secured $2 million in state funding for the critical relocation of the flood-prone Lift Station 8.
So they're successfully getting state support for these major resilience projects. What else?
The list is impressive and shows a clear pattern of success. Recent state appropriations also included another $2 million for the Water Reclamation Facility's new equalization tank, $1.5 million for crucial drainage improvements in Southwest Ward 5, and $750,000 for more sanitary sewer lining. This is on top of leveraging federal ARPA funds, from which the city dedicated $6.5 million to sewer lining and another $1.5 million to manhole rehabilitation, all to stop that rainwater intrusion we talked about.
That's a significant amount of outside investment. It really demonstrates a proactive and successful approach to funding these critical projects. So let's shift from what's underground to how people get around. Reliability also looks like safer walks and smoother rides.
Absolutely. The citywide sidewalk replacement program is delivering. In Manatee Gardens alone, replacing about 3,500 feet of sidewalk and adding 450 feet of new walkway, with ADA-compliant ramps and truncated domes to remove trip hazards. Other notable projects include River Isles on 13th Avenue East. A 1,650-foot by 10-foot ADA multi-use path improves east side connections.
That's great to hear. Beyond the roads, what about community spaces? Are we investing in quality of life too?
We are! City Park is an expansion of Lecom Park, reimagining the complex with additional fields, expanded parking, and upgraded facilities, plus a community resource center in partnership with Manatee County, the school district, and the Police Athletic League. It also builds in a public park, concessions, and space for art and public markets. A year-round destination that helps tie downtown to nearby neighborhoods like the Village of the Arts.
It's great to hear about these affordable housing projects. Do we have a sense of the real numbers? Just how many new housing opportunities are we talking about?
The numbers are substantial and really show the scale of the commitment. If you look at just 6 of the recent and ongoing developments, projects like Riverview 6, the Met, the Addison, 920, Lincoln Village, and Astoria, we're talking about a total of over 675 new homes and apartments becoming available in the city.
Wow, over 675 units from just those projects alone. That's a significant number that really puts the effort into perspective.
It is. It's a direct and meaningful response to a critical community need, providing a wide range of options for individuals and families right here in Bradenton.
From public safety and clean water to safer streets and affordable housing, it's clear there's a deliberate, interconnected strategy at play.
Exactly. That's the whole point right there. It's about building a resilient, safe, and vibrant city from the ground up. These aren't just individual projects, they are truly interconnected investments in Bradenton's future.
This is Bradenton in motion. This is the friendly city investing in its future.
All right, thank you. And I want to first off give a clap, and then David in the back of the room there is the one that helped make that video and great at working with things and doing it. So it's taken a team that we have, and our council through the last probably, especially 5 years, has really built that team that's going to move us forward in the next generational change. One of the things that when I became mayor 5 years ago was to really look at it, and I was on the council for 8 years, but when you're on the council, you've got a little bit less of a role in the day-to-day operations. Becoming mayor, it's like, okay, you really sit down and you say, what can we do? What can we bring to the council to positively impact the future? Because each council person is responsible for their ward, but they're voted citywide. So you want to try to say, okay, what makes everybody happy at the moment, but what's also going to set it up so when we're not in that seat, that we're not worried about a lawsuit with water keepers. We're not worried about horses on the causeway, if you want to go through things. And because those things hit every day. And this city is much bigger than that. We're not going to worry about that political moment in time that things might seem good or bad. And you've got to work for what's going to set up the future. And one of the things that really, I think, will set up this city is the Face It and Fix It that we came up with about 4.5 years ago. Because if our city, whether it's true or not, seems that we're spilling raw sewage into the river, it's hurting us. And in reality, we have never spilled raw sewage into the river. There might be a lift station that breaks in a small portion of raw sewage, but what we're bypassing, everybody remembers September 9th, I think it was, we had to bypass 1.7 million gallons of 90% treated water. What that means is it goes through our whole plant. And I told Councilwoman Coker that I wouldn't say this, but you have to say mixed liquor. Well, it's not mixed liquor, and on the table is a brochure here that talks about our Face It and Fix It with most of our plant. Well, the mixed liquor is what you're seeing as it comes through. And we've been fortunate enough lately to have quite a bit of media coverage after that 1.7 million gallons of bypass, positive media, because we're spinning it that it is not raw sewage. Our river is probably cleaner than it's ever been. And you can tell that by looking out there, seeing the manatees, seeing the dolphins, seeing the schools of fish, seeing the fishermen, because they flow to where those things are. And when it's clean, it's healthy. And that's one of the things that we're proud of in going through the lawsuit that I challenged them to do one day over at an event in Palmetto. But it's been a good thing for us because we're proving that we're doing good things. And I had a gentleman call me when last year when we were bypassing a lot of the water because of the heavy rains and waters. He said, Gene, this is terrible for the city. I said, the information coming out is terrible, but it's not correct information. How are we going to get it out? And he said to me, he goes, well, if you had $1 billion right now, how long would it take you to fix it? And I said, 5 to 10 years, because you have to go through EPA regulations. You have to get all the permits. And he said, how long is it going to take the city to do it without that $1 billion? I said, 5 to 10 years. So, and we're actually, with some of the plant and the equalization tank that we're putting in, temporary equalization tank, which it's a 3 million gallon tank that you're putting over there by across from the flea market. That would help. That 1.7 would be able to be parked in that equalization and then gone through. That's why you don't see Manatee County spilling, or I keep saying spilling, but bypassing, because they have those already built into their systems. We never needed them until our system had aged out, especially with the infrastructure that's being fixed. And I think we're probably several years, I don't want to say ahead, but we're several years in production because we have secured a lot of the money through grants and relationships and working with people. And that's probably one of the most important things I learned as an 8-year-old kid going through the Boys Club and on up in the years to come. So if you just look at this, right now when you look in there, there's almost $100 million that we've spent or is being spent on that glossy laminated brochure there. That is important to the city because that's our image. So when you say state of the city, how are we going to fix that? You know, and that's what we're doing, and we're showing it, and the media is now producing that for us, and that's to get it out. So if anybody ever asks you, did we spill raw sewage, you can say, no, the city didn't. So we need you as ambassadors to get that out. It's bypassed. And the only process it hasn't gone through is the chlorinization in and then the chlorination out that can be drinkable water. I don't know anybody that wants to drink that water, but it is drinkable when it gets through that process. And what we do with it is we sell it to Braden River Watershed, we give it to the golf course, we give it to Tropicana, sell it to Tropicana, or our ball fields at Lecom. So, and then when this aquifer down in, we're going to be able to put it down in the aquifer, is we're going to be able to put millions of gallons down that in the future, so we're out of the river totally. And we're probably going to be 2 or 3 years ahead of the state timing on that. And again, that's facing it and fixing it, moving generationally different. A lot of the other stuff that we're doing now, obviously, is public safety. You look at, and you know, we know the criticism that's around our county now, but people don't realize it's not the city, but it still affects us because our county is very important to us. And what we do together is important. And when you look at how, you know, people question things, or sometimes it's just getting along on a dais, you know, and it's how you do that. You can differ politically, but let's get along and work through things. Financial-wise, we're still working with the state, trying to get more money into our city, but it's also important for our county to get it because we're collaborating together with especially homeless. One of the biggest things we see is what's happening with our homeless population, and whether it's mental illness, whether it's others, and there's a lot of people in this room that do great things for that. But we've come up with a plan, and it happened about 4 or 5 years ago with the county commission at the time and our city council to process that. And the first step in that opened up a couple of weeks ago under one roof. Under one roof is for the women. Then you're going to have the men's shelter, which is going to be on 26th Avenue East. There's been a lot of talk about the county moving to Lakewood Ranch. The county is not moving to Lakewood Ranch. They're moving some of their services out there in a building they bought. And people were like, why did you stay so quiet on that? Well, I knew the whole process that was going to happen. We're the county seat. The county has to stay here. They can move offices out east. Moving the offices out east, buying that building actually helped them moving services out there, which will get their Fresh Start Manatee that'll be over on 26th Avenue East. Ultimately, that could happen within 12 months, where then the Salvation Army's men that go there will go to Fresh Start. Then Salvation Army will turn into the women's shelter, or excuse me, the family shelter, and with 26 pods. And then we will have some tough love. And I've said this a lot in the city. If everybody has a place to go, we can take them there. You're going to have a choice. Go home, and we'll get you home to your family to help, because we know mental illness and a lot of that, you've got to be home closer to your family. Second would be go to a shelter, leave, or you're going to jail. And unfortunately, the last two we don't want, but we want to help them. But if you don't want it, we're going to be able to clean up our city. And that's an important clog in the wheel as it goes. And we're talking months now. And I believe with all of our not-for-profit partners, with the county finally working with the city in the right way, that we will win awards in this community from everybody helping. And you know, doing the one-offs is good, but this will be a community effort. And that started about 4 years ago with at the time with Kevin Van Ostenbridge and myself sitting down, and you know, a lot of things people, you know, were friends from years ago, but also put him in. This is not a city problem. This is a community problem. How are we going to work together? And it's working. A lot of the not-for-profits, Turning Points, is a great organization. It's not in the right spot now. And in the 90s, it was in the right spot. That's going to be moving with opportunities and helping them do that. But again, it's strategically setting this community up when none of us are here, because we've retired and we can sit back and watch it. And that's important to me as a city, guider at the moment. It's just a short time. But no, that's something very important. I don't want this group to hear it, because when we go out and we do things and we process them together, we can get a lot done. We have some exciting stuff tomorrow. Fire Station 2, after 50 years of being in the old place, is opening. So from 5:30 to 7:30, we're having a community event. One of the council people told me today that, they've heard some criticism about, well, why are we spending the money to build a new fire station? Well, go to Station 2, but also one of the most important things is our city has grown. It's grown east more than anything. So when you have a medical emergency, especially more of a heart attack, things like that, a minute, 2 minutes can save your life. So 5 years ago when I came mayor, I called the chief, Edwards at the time, and Chief Gear was there, and I said, I'm tired of listening for 7, 8 years, we need a new fire station out east. Let's go for a drive. It was 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning, pouring down rain. And we said, let's make a decision. We made that decision, and it takes 5 years, but we're opening that station tomorrow with a ribbon cutting and then also a community event. One of the things that's going to be important, that's our second fire station we've opened in the last couple of years. And we're paying for this. We have lowered the millage rate 3 of the last 4 years. Yes, your property taxes have probably gone up because of higher value, but you also have higher, market rate value for your own self too. But we've tried to be very frugal with the money, but this city's 122 years old. Grants, working through it. We hired a lobbyist 4 years ago. We probably spent about $400,000 on those lobbyists over the 4 years, but we've returned tens of millions of dollars in grants. And we're out there searching. So your city is working hard, even though you may not see it all the time. And that's besides City Park. City Park is another thing that is generationally working with the school district, working with the Boys and Girls Club, PAL, all the things, the Pirates. Yes, the Pirates will benefit for 6 weeks, but the city will benefit for 10 and a half months a year, even on top of that, even more, because we're going to bring sense of community. And it will tie that area in with LECOM in with Village of the Arts, downtown, Riverwalk, and East Bradenton, Old Manatee. Because if you go to a big city right now and walk that big city, you'll walk 3 or 4 miles. But you won't walk from downtown to LECOM, which is barely a mile, because it doesn't feel connected once we get it. And there's going to be things we don't agree on at times, but we're going to work together to make it better. So,
Mayor, thank you for that. Very informative. Step right over here.
Okay. Get out of the way.
It is a Bradenton Kiwanis tradition to present you with a golden ruler to measure your future success. Thank you to you and your team for that wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you everyone for coming. If you are interested in SLPs, please let me know. Otherwise, everyone have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Meeting adjourned.